welcome back to my channel, BookNation, where you might have 99 problems, but finding your next book ain't one, because I have all the book recommendations for you. So today we're going to be talking about something that I am super excited about. I mean, books, of course, yeah, but we're going to be talking about astrology. So outside of starting this YouTube channel recently and just having so much fun talking to you about all my favorite books, my full-time business is astrology. So I have an amazing company called the Astro Hive, and through the Astro Hive I help high-performing women to clarify and activate their soul's mission so that they can deliver on their calling and show up in the world the way how they are meant to. So I thought it would be really cool to share my top 3 astrology books that I think you should start out with if you are interested in astrology. I have an amazing free Facebook group called the Astro Hive, of course, and in there we talk about all things astrology. And one of the questions that I get asked all the time is, what books should I read to understand astrology better? And so I'm going to share those with you in this video. So if you are also into astrology, you're gonna love this. So if you've been around me long enough, or if you are an astrology nerd too, then you know that astrology is about so much more than what your sign is. So I'm an Aries, but that is just a tiny part of my personality. Instead of this one sign that most of us have, you know, believed is the extent of our astrological blueprint, we actually have several, like a lot. We have a whole entire map, and it's called a natal chart. And in order to create a natal chart, you need to put in your name, city and state where you were born, your birthday, and most importantly, the exact time that you were born. So there are lots of free natal charts online where you can put in your information. I do this for work, so I have a software here that I use for my clients, but you can put that in anywhere. The tricky thing about it is that it's a lot of information. It's a lot of information, and then people also don't really know how to implement what they learn in their natal chart, and they don't have the support along the way. And that's where I come in terms of, you know, the Astro Hive. But I won't make this too complicated. I'll just share these books in case you want to learn more about how this whole astrology thing really works, because I'm telling you, when you have your full natal chart, you learn so much about yourself, from the very reason why you're here to the easiest way for you to make money, your karmic energies around family, career, your romantic relationships, friendships, everything. It's all in this chart. So a lot of the answers that you seek, you are literally born with. You just have to know how to uncover them through your natal chart. And of course, most people don't want to sit there and decipher their whole entire chart. So, you know, that's where I come in. I do the heavy lifting. I support you along the way. I create a whole entire roadmap for you. And that is how I get my clients from where they are today to wherever it is that they want to go in no time. So let me go ahead and get into these books really quick, because I'll talk about astrology all day and this video will be 4 hours long. So this book, as you can see, it is completely ran through. I've had it for a really long time. I mean, yeah, girl. So the only astrology book you'll ever need is, I feel like this is like the starter guide to anyone who wants to get into astrology a little bit more. It's a great book. It is a lot though. It's hella thick, as you can see. So again, like, you have to really be interested in this astrology stuff to really study it, you know, because it is a science. Some people call it a pseudoscience because they don't believe in it. They feel like they've debunked it and blah, 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 blah. But if you are really about this astrology life, you know better. Okay, the first thing, the first part of the book, I should say, is it just goes through our zodiac signs or our sun signs. So for example here, Leo, and then it goes through, let me put this up a little bit closer so you can see it. Lets you know here that it's a fire sign, lets you know that it's a fixed sign, lets you know the ruling planet, the symbols, because of course if you are into astrology you got to know what the different symbols mean, so when you look at your chart you'll know what you're actually reading. It goes into a bunch of different things here. Part of the body rule by Leo, lucky days for Leo, colors, metals, flowers, things you got to look out for based on your sign. And then it goes into lots of detail about what that sign means. So this is for each and every sign. They go ahead and break that down for. Then there's a little love section in here too. If you want to know how to best attract a certain sign, they give some tips and tricks in here. Then it also goes into breaking down the ascendant signs or the rising signs. So if you are a part of my Facebook community or any kind of astrology community really, you'll likely hear people talking about their sun, moon, and their rising signs. Like those are like the basic three that you at least need to know. So the rising sign and the ascendant are the same. You could just use those words interchangeably. Our ascendant or rising sign is how we come off to people, especially when they just meet us or they don't know us that well. That is how our rising sign comes off. Our rising sign also has a lot to do with the way how we dress, because again, it's our outer appearance, right? Even our physical features too. You can figure it out through your rising sign. So this section breaks down rising signs. And then we go into the different planets here that are in your natal chart and what it means when it's in each zodiac. So the Mercury is the first one, of course. That's the planet of the mind, also the planet of communication, which is why when you hear Mercury is in retrograde, there's usually a lot of miscommunication happening during that time, or there are issues with like your tech, like your phone might start acting weird, your computer, you know, things like that. And that is because Mercury rules tech. So when Mercury's in retrograde, sometimes those things tend to be a little bit off. But I am not like one of those people who scares people to death about Mercury retrograde, because it can also be a really amazing time if you know how to use that energy correctly. Back to Mercury and the rest of the planets, it'll give you a breakdown of what the planet means and then what it means when the planet is in the different zodiacs. So what does it mean to be a Mercury in Sagittarius, a Mercury in Pisces, because those are all different things. And then this also tells you the meaning of when the planets are in the different houses. And you're probably like, what's a house? So if you have Googled a natal chart since you have been listening to me, in the event that you have no idea what this stuff is, you'll see that the chart is broken up into 12 different sections, and each section is called a house. Each house has a different meaning, and depending on what planet falls in that house, it means something else. So this book will also explain what that means. It also breaks down the different quadrants of a natal chart. It'll break down for you like if most of your planets are on one side and the other side is almost empty, what does that mean? Or if the top is heavier than the bottom. So again, this is a really great book to start. It also has a great whatchamacallit in the back. What do you call it? Like an explanation of the different astrological terms if you want to study that. So if you want to learn what the cadence houses are, the constellations, conjunctions, descendants, aspects, all that stuff, all the astrology jargon that sounds completely foreign when you first start studying astrology, it is all in here. Again, I've had this for a long time. Like, it doesn't even stay closed. This was one of my first books that I really started studying, and again, it's a great place to start. The second book I would recommend if you are wanting to learn more about astrology is Spiritual Astrology, A Path to Divine Awakening. And this is by Jan Spiller and Karen McCoy. So this book, I like to say it's a little less overwhelming. I mean, that one just looks intimidating off bat because it's so huge. This one's a little bit more compact, and I feel like it's just less scarier when you're first starting out. So this one, like the first book, explains what a natal chart is and how to read it. But I also like that for each sun sign, it breaks down. I just like the way how Jan breaks things down in her books. So, for example, in the beginning of her, she also starts with the sun signs. So, for example, for Sun in Aries, she breaks it down by what you feel you have a right to do based on your sun sign, unconscious expressions, and conscious expressions for each of them. Then she goes into breaking down what it means if, when these signs are in different houses. Then she goes into your moon sign, explaining what your moon sign is. And like I said, knowing your sun, moon, and rising signs or ascendant is like basic stuff. Like you should at least know those three. So our sun sign, our zodiac sign, everyone knows what their zodiac sign is. So that's also your sun sign. Your rising, like I said, that's your outer appearance. And your moon sign is like your inner core, your shadow side, the part of you that people don't see unless they really, really get to know you. And a lot of times when people are trying to compare themselves romantically with someone else, they'll be like, I'm a Taurus, this person's a Sagittarius, is it gonna work? But actually comparing your moon signs is way more accurate, because your moon sign is who you show up as in your relationships, because you really don't have a choice but to be yourself in a relationship. Like at some point, it's gonna be revealed. So your moon sign, your Venus, and some other things, I don't want to overwhelm you. So your moon sign is who you are on an emotional level, and so she goes into the moon signs next. So so she goes into your moon signs, and then she goes into, again, the rest of the planets, Mercury through Pluto. Also gives tips on where to find your birth certificate, because again, in order to have the most accurate natal chart done, you need your exact time of birth. So places like the county clerk, hall of records, the courthouse, all that stuff. She also gives, and I don't believe this is in the first book that I shared with you, she gives insight on how to identify what the different eclipses mean. Like if you were born during an eclipse, she gives insight into how that into what that means, in terms of like reincarnation, how it may show up for you over the course of your life. So depending on the zodiac that you were born into, well, the eclipse that you were born into, based on that zodiac, she gives insight into how that may work out for you. Why am I singing? I sound terrible. So basically, this is a great book if you have an eclipse in your natal chart and you're looking to figure out how that's going to show up for you. This is a really, really great book for that, because it's going to give you insight into past lives as well. And last but not least, aspects in astrology. So when you look at your natal chart, you see that it's broken up into the 12 houses, and then you'll see all these like lines going through the chart. So those lines are called aspects. And I found that this book is the easiest one that breaks down what the different aspects mean. And the aspects are super important too. I feel like folks tend to spend a lot of time on what zodiac each planet is in and the houses, but your aspects are super important too. They're going to give you an even more in-depth look into your personality. So first and foremost, this book, like the others, explains what different planets are, and it's important for you to understand what the different planets are and what they mean, so that when you're looking at transits, it'll make more sense to you, But the different transits are conjunctions, semi-sextiles, semi-squares, sextiles, quintiles, square, trines, oppositions. There are some more that escape me right this second, because I am super distracted and I really just want to read this book again. So if you want to know what each of the transits, if you want to know what that's a whole other That's a whole other beast within astrology. If you want to know what the different aspects mean, this is a great one. And it breaks it down, like every aspect that you can think of. Every possible pairing for an aspect is in here. So even with your midhaven, I mean, it's all in here. So this is a great book. So just studying aspects alone is like a whole other thing within itself. And this is a great book to do that. So yes, astrology is a lot. Astrology is a lot. Like when you really get into all the different things that it can help you with, what it means and how to use it correctly, it can be a lot. And that's why, like I said, I do what I do. That way I can just do all this because I'm a nerd. I study all of this. It's fun for me. And then I just do all the heavy lifting for my clients and support them along their journey. It has been an amazing, amazing, amazing ride. But again, if you just want to learn more because you're getting into astrology or you're just curious to learn more, maybe you're a Gemini and you're just looking for a new thing to study because you always want to study something new, then I'm going to recommend these 3 books for you if you want to get into astrology. These 3 right here, these are great starter astrology books. If you're not into astrology yet and you end up falling down the rabbit hole because of this video, welcome. And I apologize in advance because once you start, you won't be able to stop. You're just going to keep going. So yeah, get these 3 books. I'm going to link them below in the description for you so that you can get started on your astrology journey as well. And if you are, you know, totally into astrology, you want to learn more, you want to be in a fun place where women talk about astrology and use it in a really high level, then join my free Facebook group. I'll link that in the description as well. Oh, and I also do, since we're here talking about astrology, I also do free readings for each zodiac on my Facebook page. So you should also like my Facebook page. I also have an astrology podcast called Astro Hive, the podcast. Like I said, that is my life outside of me just, you know, nerding out about books for fun. Astrology is my full-time business. So I'm in these astrological streets. If you do your Googles, and I will, you know, just go ahead and link everything in the description for you just to make your life a lot simpler. So let me know if you're into astrology. I would love to know if you know your sun, moon, and rising signs. Let me know what those are. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment below, again, with your sun, moon, and rising signs. And make sure you subscribe to my channel for more of my book recommendations. So I will see you next time. On to the next book. Bye.